Going Deep podcast, we got Super Bowl champion Willie Colon.
What's going on, everybody?
We got the man of a million voices, Joey Molinaro.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
All right, so this week is, we're just coming off the longest week in NFL history. Thursday, Thanksgiving through Wednesday, we've got Steelers-Ravens today. We're taping a little bit before the game. News coming out that Mark Ingrams and J.K. Dobbins right now are not playing. But let's get into the Week 13 slate. A lot of stuff going on. COVID situations. We're going to talk the DK Metcalf spat with Jim Schwartz pregame. Bucks obviously spiraling out of control. Let's get into it. Hit the music. All right, so the COVID situation has gotten pretty crazy. Now, I believe it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago where it was 15 teams had some type of COVID situation going on at the moment. Now, obviously, we've seen the Ravens having major issues containing this outbreak. Their game against the Steelers was supposed to be Thanksgiving night. Things obviously got pushed to Sunday, later to Tuesday. Now today, Wednesday afternoon, which is actually a funny story with the tree lighting. Well, let's briefly touch on that. So NBC, who has the game, really wanted the game to be tonight, or NBC Sports at least. NBC as a whole had to push back because the New York City, the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree lighting, which is an annual tradition, is scheduled for tonight, and they've been promoting it. So there's obviously a conflict. Surprisingly, the NFL has lost. I feel like they get their way in everything. They've lost. Are you guys going to be watching the tree lighting tonight?
Well, it depends on the outcome of the game, Stephen Shea.
Point.
You know, I guess that's not true, because I feel like either way, if the Steelers win on Wednesday afternoon, then I'll be jolly watching Goo Goo Dolls and Jimmy Fallon and everybody do their thing. And if they lose, then I'll need some holiday cheer to cheer me up. So I'll probably be watching either way.
It's absolutely ridiculous, Stephen Chade. I don't know if you've seen the tree as of late. It looks like shit. It's not even a good tree.
Really?
They had to save an owl who was – this was pissing me off about the tree, first of all. There was an owl living in the tree, minding its own business.
While they moved it?
Before they moved it, they found an owl. It was a beautiful owl who was living in the tree. It was currently the owl's home. They cut the damn tree out, took the owl, and they took it in pretty much, and they're taking care of it, or they probably placed it somewhere else. If you're going to move an owl who was living his best life in his own habitat, at least pick the best fucking tree. The tree is horrible. It's not a good-looking tree. It's probably the worst tree they've picked thus far. They have it in Rockefeller Center, and I've drove by it. It's nothing. It doesn't wow you, right? Like I'm a New Yorker. You're a New Yorker.
Yep.
See the tree. It's kind of a New York staple. Around this holiday time, you have people from all over the world come in just to see a fucking tree that comes from upstate New York get lit up. Wow.
It's a huge tree.
It's an okay
100
tree.
feet tall. Like, it's huge.
But what's crazy, as big as it looks on TV, when you roll up on it, it looks like something you can pick out your backyard. So just for
it's like 100 feet tall.
It's never wowed me, Stephen Che. I don't feel wowed by the goddamn Christmas tree.
Well, he's a little bit bigger than us. He probably could pick it out of his backyard.
On top of that, NBC has the rights to the Steelers game. This game has so much gravy, has so much sauce. There's a lot of implications into this game. NBC's fucking it up. This game should be at 8:00, all butts in seats. Steelers versus Ravens. We've had to stall because the goddamn Ravens don't know how to follow protocol, whatever they're going through. And I blame the Ravens. I don't have any sympathy for the Ravens. Valley, I don't want these guys to die. I don't want anybody to get hurt. I hope everybody's family's safe. But let's be honest. If this was Ben Roethlisberger and simply just Ben Roethlisberger, the NFL would have been like, shit, we don't care. The game must go on. There would have been no pushback. If this would have happened to Minka Fitzpatrick, if this would have happened to James Conner, hey, you know what? You guys are in first place. You guys are 10-0. Obviously, your team's capable of winning games without their key players. You know what? Let the game happen. Because it was the Baltimore Ravens, because they're 6-4, Lamar Jackson, J.K. Dobbins, Mark Ingram, these assholes popped up with COVID. Now we want to halt the season. Now we want to push things back. We got to also understand, we're talking about potentially another week of football for the Pittsburgh Steelers alone just because of this goddamn game. It's not fair to the Steelers. It's not fair to Steelers fans. It's definitely not fair to the guys that are actually putting their feet in cleats. They've already had to adjust and kind of make hay with what happened to the Tennessee Titans. Now this is going on with the Baltimore Ravens. All nonsense. It's all nonsense. I don't like it. I wish the game was at 8:00. primetime game. Nobody gives a shit about the goddamn Christmas tree. We're talking about hump day. If you're going to watch big time football, you want to watch it on hump day for the world to watch. We don't want to. I don't like kind of constantly making adjustments for a lesser team. We had to make adjustments for Tennessee Titans. We rolled into Tennessee. We put the knuckles to them. Now we have to make adjustments for the Baltimore Ravens. I hope we wash their ass. I hope we put up 50 on their head and send their ass back to Baltimore. Send their ass right down the goddamn turnpike.
You know who it is? It's like last week. It's that phony front runner fraud John Harbaugh. He's the one who did this. He's the one, he was freaking calling the NFL front offices every second that he could. He whined his way out of this because that's what John Harbaugh does. This is 100% on John Harbaugh. You know it. I know it. Everybody knows it. If John Harbaugh wouldn't have been bitching to the NFL constantly, I guarantee this game would have at least gotten played on Sunday, not even, got moved to Tuesday or Wednesday. It's John Harbaugh. We all know it was. So I'm with you, Willie. I hope that the Steelers are up by 40 points, and I hope Mike Tomlin calls a timeout with 2 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, and then I hope they run a flea flicker, and then I hope when they're in the end zone, they flip off John Harbaugh, tell him, hold your nuts. I'm ready to go.
David, you know what's even worse about this, too? So this was reported. You know what a wildcat strike is?
A wildcat strike?
So this is what a wildcat strike is. It's when – so the NFLPA is the players' union, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the Ravens, the Ravens players, these assholes, are so upset about playing today that there were talks, literally talks about striking and not playing this game because they feel like they're not prepared and they don't have enough time. And because they're playing the Pittsburgh Steelers, a division rival, they don't feel like they've been prepared or have enough time to kind of be their best against the Steelers. Fuck you. You know what? Everybody's dealing with COVID. You don't call that. So a wildcat strike is when the members of the union, a la the players, strike against the union, saying that we don't need your permission. We're going to go rogue. We're going to strike, even though we don't have permission from the NFLPA or the NFL to do so. So that's what a wildcat strike is. They were actually thinking about this. This was actually a conversation, which is ridiculous. And by the way, let's be 100 about it too. The Steelers are going to play on Wednesday. They have to turn around and play the Washington football team on Monday.
Yep.
So, this is going to be a hard-fought battle. This is going to be a knuckle-up type game because it is the Baltimore Ravens. But to turn around and play a Washington team who, by the way, is playing better, who, by the way, has a shot of winning their division as long as they keep winning along the way.
And they've had a week and a half off.
Who, by the way, I was going to say 10 days off.
And so Washington's going to go into this game fired up, not only because they know what's in stake for them, but because they are playing the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mike Tomlin has said it time after time. Every team they play, they will get the best. They will get the best that team has to offer. So nobody's taking into consideration what these guys in the black and gold and in the most historic franchise of all of sports are going through right now. Everybody wants to not clown them, but kind of turn their cheek to them. Bullshit. These guys got to suit it up and play. These guys get hurt and banged up just like everybody else. They shouldn't be slighted because they're 10-0.
Right. So I think that has a lot to do with it. Like the undefeated, like we're not talking enough about they're undefeated right now. Like I don't know if anyone's giving them a realistic chance of going 16-0 into the playoffs. I feel like most people think the Chiefs are the top team. I've had the Chiefs as the number one team in my power rankings week after week. That could change, but I at the moment, I see the Steelers as the second best team in the league despite their record. Now, when you start messing with these games, like, yes, we have a Wednesday game and then we have a Monday game, that puts that in jeopardy. Like, it's going to be hard enough to go undefeated. I think that's certainly an interesting storyline. But as far as the overall premise of moving games, let me take the contrarian route in saying that the reason that they're moving it isn't because John Harbaugh is kind of complaining so much. I will say that the rule about them practicing once is ridiculous because the Titans didn't practice for like 2.5 weeks. We talked to Will Compton about that. They didn't practice for several days and they went up and beat up on the Bills. So I don't think that's a huge deal. Like the Ravens should just have to play without practicing. That's their own fault. But I think the issue about why these games keep getting pushed back is because they keep getting positive tests. Like the Ravens have not contained this. It would be dangerous and irresponsible for the NFL to play games with guys continuing to test positive. So, right now it's 9:50 in the morning on Wednesday as we're taping this. The results haven't come out for today. If the results come out for today and there are more positive tests, this game's going to get pushed again.
Which is
and
ridiculous.
not necessarily to later this week, but like to another week. We're talking like week 18. Now, that's obviously not ideal, but in all the other situations, like even let's talk about the Denver situation from this past weekend. They found out, I believe it was on Friday or Saturday, that they're going to have no quarterbacks, no professional quarterbacks able to play for them because of this incident with, Drew Lock and the quarterbacks room. They played that game on Sunday, obviously very shorthanded without the most important position in sports because they didn't have an outbreak on their hands. Like they basically contained it. And they had no positive tests from any other, members of the team. I think there might have been a staffer, but like no members of the team. The Ravens can't do that. Like even Mark Andrews tested positive the other day. He's their top tight end, very good pass catching tight end. The Ravens haven't controlled this. So this is a Ravens issue. I'm on your side that it's not like the Steelers' problem. But the fact of the matter is they're on their schedule this week. So they have to abide by whatever. And the Ravens have to get this under control. Otherwise, we're looking at a week 18 or, potentially down the line, a forfeit blemish on the Steelers record, which could be potentially an undefeated season, which would be crazy.
Which is the problem, Stephen Che? So now there's speculation, because I know a couple people within the Baltimore organization. There's speculation that the head strength coach, his name is Steve Saunders, is the guy who's supposedly the outbreak monkey. Now, these are just rumors. I don't know if it's true, but this is just something I was paying attention to a couple of Ravens blogs and a couple shit, and they're pointing him as the guy. I don't know if that's true, so don't quote me on that.
I mean, that guy's going to come in contact with the most people, right? They're all going to be in the way.
Right. He's the guy that
if kind of makes
around
sense.
Right. If anybody's around all the players, it's him. I actually know Steve Saunders because me and James Harrison trained under him. He was an independent trainer. We trained under him during our time with the Steelers. I think he's a scumbag. I can't stand him for other reasons. However, he's supposedly the guy. He's the head strength coach for the Baltimore Ravens. So there's speculation that he's the guy that does because he didn't necessarily believe in the whole COVID thing. He thought it was a hoax. So there's speculation that he was the guy. Anyway, to push forward, I don't know what happens if somebody else tests positive today, and I also don't think the Steelers should be penalized for it. If they do not play today, it should be a loss for the Baltimore Ravens. It shouldn't count against the Pittsburgh Steelers because they've done what they've needed to do, and they continue to do. It's not – I mean, if Baltimore can't get it under control, especially if they find out that they violated protocol anyway, that should be a loss on them. It should not be a reflection on the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're ready to go. They've been ready to go for the last 2 weeks, and this should go for any other team. If you're a team like the Raiders or any other team has violated protocol in any way, that should be a loss on you. It should. We can't keep pushing games back. We can't keep resetting the season or kind of make things work along the way because we're running out of time. We're in December. This is where you cut your nuts time. Either you're gonna go get it or you're going home at the end of the beginning of January. So teams, if you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, especially if you look at the NBA, if you look at college basketball, you look at different sports organizations, teams rather, who are doing what they need to do and have survived. Been able to kind of make it through COVID, and you're the one organization or team or whoever staffer that's not following the necessary protocol, then that should be a knock on your organization and you. The rest of the team shouldn't be penalized for it, and I think that's bullshit.
I think something I actually just thought of, which could actually be a crazy scenario. So hypothetically, if this game gets postponed to week 18 and they have to play that, and this would be the only game played on week 18. The Steelers right now are the number 1 seed in the AFC. They're slated for that single bye. What happens if they then have to play a game week 18? Then they would have their bye. That basically resets the field for the entire AFC because they would have had a bye in week 18. So this is all very, very interesting. Hopefully there are no tests today. Obviously, when we air this, we're going to air this post game. We will have found out. But just the fact that this is an ever evolving COVID situation. And I do want to talk more about the Denver Broncos. So they did have to play. Drew Lock's mom, who's kind of a looker, wrote a note on Twitter, and Adam Schefter retweeted it. Schefter used to work with the Broncos or cover the Broncos, so obviously very close to him. But she basically said that Drew Lock didn't do anything wrong. He actually went through the proper protocols. He organized his teammates, the quarterbacks, to watch extra film together in off hours, but didn't want to do this in like a home or somewhere that wasn't sanctioned. So they booked the room with the Broncos. They were not wearing their masks, but they were socially distant. And all the NFL guys get tested daily. So, if you're in an environment where everyone has tested negative, you think you're in a safe space, but then later one of the quarterbacks did test positive. It was not Drew Lock, but since he had been in contact with him, they didn't have enough time to do 2 negative tests on consecutive days. So basically all of the quarterbacks that were in that room, which were all the quarterbacks of the Broncos, were unable to play. The NFL kept the game as scheduled because it wasn't an outbreak. It was just basically on the COVID list for association with someone in close proximity with someone that had tested positive. So it wasn't an outbreak like the Baltimore Ravens situation, but the NFL played the game. Kareem Jackson, who's been on this podcast, said the NFL made an example out of them.
They did.
What do you guys think about that statement? Drew Lock's mom is thinking the same thing. She closes her statement with, as a parent, educator, and a friend, a coworker, a boss, using people to make an example out of a situation is wrong. The NFL used one of their own as an example. This is where the shame is. What do you guys think about that statement, Kareem Jackson statement, what the NFL did to the Broncos in comparison, obviously, to this situation with Baltimore?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if the question for me is, if Denver would have been 6-4 instead of 4-6, like we see with Baltimore, or 7-3 or whatever it is.
And Drew Lock been an MVP the year before.
I mean, exactly. Like would the NFL have bent their knee a little bit on that one? Because we have a perfect guinea pig here. Denver, they're not really going anywhere this year, and here we go. This is what's going to happen. That's my question. That's my issue. Kind of like with San Francisco a few weeks ago on Thursday night against Green Bay. I mean, not only do they have injuries, but they had a shit ton of people on the COVID list too. I think they're down to like
all the receivers, basically.
All the receivers. I mean, they're playing with Nick Mullins, and that's a short week as well, just like on Thanksgiving night for Baltimore, and they're trotting San Francisco out there. So that's my issue with the entire thing, and I'm sure Willie will hit on it too. But that's my issue with the entire thing is just it just feels like the NFL is really, really being selective and picking and choosing kind of, I don't want to say playing favorites, but they're letting certain teams get away with certain things just because of this situation that they're in, playoff-wise, record-wise, who the quarterback is.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with Joe. Joe, you hit it right on the head. But what bothers me, too, is the lack of – they didn't pivot, right? So here you go. Drew Lock, you say he's an outbreak monkey. He's the guy that contaminated the quarterback room.
No, he wasn't the guy. He did not test positive, but he was in the
room,
basically. Yeah.
Right. So they drag out this, who is the kid? Justin Hilton, what his name?
Kendall Hinton.
Kendall Hinton, right?
Yeah.
So the guy goes out there, almost gets decapitated, barely trying to win a game for the Denver Broncos. By the way, who isn't going anywhere? You can't tell me John Elway and company. There wasn't a quarterback in the last 2 years that you couldn't pull off the bench or off the couch and be like, hey, I'm calling in Mark Sanchez. You play for the Denver Broncos. You know the system fairly well. You know this team. I just need a game out of you. You tell him you can't have Mark Sanchez here suiting up for the Denver Broncos in 24 hours. Get him tested. Give him a basic playbook to go with out there and play. Like it's nonsense, man.
They signed Blake Bortles earlier this year.
Exactly. Somebody like put somebody in there who's qualified for the position. The young man they threw out there could have, one, got hurt. Two, he didn't look great. And nobody can fault him at it. It's not his position. He was a practice squad receiver, and he was out there with fucking elbow pads playing quarterback. You know what I mean? So I'm sitting there like it was just a bad look for the Denver Broncos. It was a bad look for the NFL. I do believe that Drew Lock. I listen. If I was Drew Lock, I'd be like, Mom, stay out of this, because now you got guys like Stephen Che calling you hot, and I can't say anything about it because you are hot, but you're my mom, and I got to go back in the locker room and deal with the nonsense. So. Don't do it again, Mom. Thank you for defending my honor.
Yeah, it's certainly a crazy situation. Also, the Denver offensive coordinator. What are you doing? Call some easy passes. You're having this guy, practice squad wide receiver, throwing deep balls. Give him a bubble screen. Give him a shovel pass. Give him something. He was 1 for 9. I think he had 1 or 2 picks. I mean,
bro,
make things easy.
The Wildcat offense.
What's that?
Be a Wildcat quarterback for the whole fucking game.
Right, yeah. I mean, Philip Lindsay was taking snaps for a while as a Wildcat quarterback, but like make things easier for Kendall Hinton. Like, why are you giving like this guy should not be throwing deep passes? Like, I know maybe or run some play action, do something, make it easier for him.
Stephen Che, if you would have saw that young man in the pocket, he was absolutely terrified, and I don't blame him. There was different shots of him actually sitting in the pocket. The offensive line was trying to battle for him for a good portion of the game. But he's sitting there, and you could tell like his mind was just split in three different ways. One was panic, one was fear, then one was the ball player trying to make plays out there. I have nothing but empathy and sympathy for this young man. He actually should get his whole salary should be cranked up by 20%, and he shouldn't play any more games for Denver Broncos. They should put him up in the VIP seats, and he deserves a Purple Heart for the organization.
I will
think about what he's making versus other quarterbacks in the league.
I think he made like $35,000 for the game. Patrick Mahomes looks at like a snap.
Yeah.
You know? I will say Kendall Hinton, though. I mean, it was a tough going for him out there in Denver and in the Rocky Mountains, and it looked like he could use some Rocky boots, guys. He was out there playing. You know, most of the time I wear sneakers. I'm a big sneaker guy, but here in Indianapolis, here in the Midwest, you know, there's some rough and tough terrain out there. Every now and then when I'm going out walking around, I wear my Rocky boots. I love them. They're awesome. These boots keep your feet cool, comfortable, whether you're working a tough job, hanging out in the backyard, going for a little hike on the weekend. Since 1932, Rocky Boots have been headquartered in Nelsonville, Ohio. They are a Middle America company with Middle America sensibilities. So just like I said, myself here in Indianapolis, Indiana, Middle America, just like them. They're not a pretentious company that charges $450, $500, you know, a crazy amount for boots. They want you to have a great set of boots for an affordable price. They make great boots, fair price. Like I said, give them a try next time you're hiking, you're fishing, you're working, you're grilling, or you're going out to the zoo like Stephen Che with his son on the weekends.
Yeah.
Your feet will thank you. Rocky Rugged since 1932. Get a new pair of Rocky boots and get outside. The holidays are coming up. Perfect time to go to rockyboots.com and enter the code going deep at checkout for 25% off your next pair of boots. So that's rockyboots.com. Enter the code going deep, name of this podcast, at checkout for 25% off your next pair of Rocky boots.
Well, love that transition. Rocky Mountains, Rocky Boots are seamless.
Yeah.
Speaking of Rocky, there was a Rocky exchange on Monday Night Football. So the Eagles were playing the Seahawks. The Seahawks traveled to Seattle. Philadelphia's defensive coordinator is Jim Schwartz, who was also the head coach of the Lions back in the day when Calvin Johnson was there. Now, a very talented second-year receiver who's physically imposing and runs super fast, DK Metcalf, has been previously compared to Calvin Johnson, merely, I think, due to size, muscular mass, and, you know, he ran basically a 4.3 40. Now, Jim Schwartz before Monday Night Football, told DK Metcalf, like, I was in Detroit with Calvin Johnson, like, you're no Calvin Johnson. Before the game, DK Metcalf went off. I think he had 10 catches for 177 yards and a touchdown. Tough look. After the game, DK Metcalf, I think a Bleacher Report, somebody picked up that quote, and then he did the meme of Michael Jordan, like I took that personally. Now, Willie, you obviously have experience dealing with coaches and opposing players and coaches pregame. Has anybody said anything like this to you, or have you heard of anybody saying something like this to your teammates? And what'd they do after that?
Yeah, so nobody's ever had the nuts to kind of poke the Pittsburgh Steelers, but usually the Baltimore Ravens, but they usually did that in the media. But as far as coaches coming up to players, you know, there's always some type of jarring and whatever. That's going to happen. If I was anybody a part of this story, I would be, if I'm Darius Slay Jr., I'm pissed off, right? Because you just poked the guy. Yeah. You just poked the son of a bitch you just poked my opponent, right? This guy's already going to be fired up. He's already one of the top dogs in the league. If I'm Darius Slay Jr. and coach, by the way, you want me to have my best day? Don't go poking the son of a bitch I got to go knuckle up with for 4 quarters. So if I'm Darius Slay, I would have been like, you know what, coach? Bullshit on your part. I got DK. I'll defend your honor because now you're trying to make it a long day for me. And which it was. DK went off. He got nicked during the game, but ultimately he had a pretty damn good game. Does that happen? Yes. Coaches do pick at players. There's usually some type of relationship that allows a coach to kind of say certain type of things to a player. Rex Ryan was notorious for getting after guys, especially guys on the other team, especially guys before the game or on the sideline. Rex never. There was never a filter. If he decided to talk shit to you, he was just going to say it. But players also talk shit to coaches. When I was on the sideline with the Pittsburgh Steelers, you would have other players run up to Mike Tomlin and chirp little shit and say little shit. And he would say his little thing. It happens. That's just the NFL. That's just the game itself. But the comparison to Calvin Johnson and DK Metcalf, listen, Calvin Johnson was an animal. He was a dog. He actually ended his career early. If Calvin Johnson, I would love to see what Calvin Johnson has to say to this, honestly, because Calvin Johnson ended his career early. Calvin Johnson technically could still be in the league today if you wanted to. DK Metcalf is a star. He's a budding star. Him and Russell Wilson have a great relationship. Obviously, the arrow's going up for this guy. But I watched Calvin Johnson play at Georgia Tech and for the Detroit Lions. Played against the man. The man was damn near, he's unstoppable. Honestly, I've seen him go. One time, it was against the Cincinnati Bengals. It was like late in the game. This dude went up against. It was pretty much the same type of catch D-Hop had against the Buffalo Bills not too long ago. This man went up on a safety, a corner, and a linebacker and picked it over their heads and came down with the ball. Megatron was an animal. And I think we have to, and sometimes as sports fans and analysts, we have to stop comparing guys to the greats. Calvin Johnson was an animal in itself. DK Metcalf is a young guy, a lot of potential, obviously. But I think Calvin Johnson, he's not there yet. To me, Calvin Johnson is man, he's one of the best to ever do it, man, seriously. And I got a lot of respect for that dude. So the comparison, I think we got to chill out on that. Is the guy good? Is DK great? Is he good? Yes. Is he had a hell of a season? Yes. But Calvin Johnson, you're trying to put that man, a catalog of that man's work and try to compare to what DK Metcalf is doing right now. I think it's unfair. DK's not there yet. So I agree with Jim Schwartz. I just wouldn't say it before a game. I would say it after a game, or maybe on a blog site, or maybe just talk shit or call him up like, hey, you're nice, but you're not Calvin Johnson. I would say it afterwards. I wouldn't say it because you pretty much sold out Darius Slay. Darius Slay's like, all right, great, thanks, dude.
Right.
Thanks.
You've talked about that, how like you don't want to poke the bear with like Ndamukong Suh. Like you don't want to wake that guy up. And if you're waking up DK Metcalf pregame,
on
not
Monday
that he needs to be
football.
more woken up for Monday Night Football, but like
and I think Russell Wilson's record on Monday night is like 28-1, like 28-8-1 or some shit like that. Like Russell's a beast on Monday Night Football. And plus you're gonna have DK out there. If I'm Darius Slay, I'm like, you're the reason why we lost, coach. You, solely you.
Yeah, I mean, the Eagles, they don't have a lot going for them in the first place. So I don't know why Schwartz thought that this was a good idea to say it all, and especially before pregame. It's like, if you're going out to dinner with your wife for a date night and then you're going shopping after, and then, beforehand you kind of make a snide remark about like, you look okay, but I like that other dress better. Like then you're going to be sitting there and she's going to be shitty and the whole dinner's going to be all fucked up. And then you're going shopping later and she's just going to run up the tab. It's just a bad idea altogether. So I totally agree with Willie. DK Metcalf is trending in that direction. He's a freak as well. But the timing, Jim Schwartz, I mean, that, I guess that's why you're not a head coach anymore, because that was just not a good idea.
But Stephen Shea, even if you make that comment, let's just say if I'm Jim Schwartz, right?
Yeah.
He has to go back into that locker room and get his defense ready to play. By the way, the Philadelphia Eagles defense is playing well enough. They're doing a fairly good job. Their offense is just shit. Let's just be honest with that. But if I'm Jim Schwartz, because I've seen Rex do this, like, listen, man, I just went out there and wrote a check. I need you assholes to go cash it. If you don't cash it, then it's my ass. But don't go back in the locker room and say nothing. And then Darius Slay is on the island by himself, and this guy's getting mossed for 4 quarters. He's like, man, what got into DK? Well, shit. Your coordinator just went at my neck. That's why I'm going off on you. Nothing personal, kid. It's just the way it is.
You know what Schwartz is? He's the guy when you're out with your buddies at a club, the little man that kind of chirps at everybody, and then and then these guys are wanting to fight you and take your head off, and it's all because this little dickhead, who's not going to do anything in the first place, is running his mouth. So that's exactly what it was.
Yes, Schwartz should have went in that locker room and be like, "Hey, Darius, I need your Pro Bowl game today. I need an A+."
Yeah,
I just wrote a big check on your name.
Right. I mean, the Calvin Johnson comparison's a bit early. I mean, DK Metcalf Joey, to your point, he's trending in that direction. I mean, it's the second year. Calvin Johnson, I mean, from what I was at the draft, he got drafted out. He was an incredible player. I was hoping he fell to us. He went at 2 to the Lions. But I mean, his career game was at the Cowboys 2013, 14 catches, 329 yards, and a touchdown. I mean, that guy is unbelievable.
And could run, Stephen Che. A lot of people talk about DK speed. Calvin Johnson could move.
I mean, time to long speed, they're actually very similar. Calvin Johnson was able to get in and out of breaks a lot better, and had that type of shiftiness that was not very common for his size. DK Metcalf doesn't really have that. Yep. But like down the field threats, I think they're both, incredible players. All right. Speaking of receivers that had monster days, unfortunately, Tyree Kill had a monster day against my Bucks.
I don't know how you're here.
Yeah. I mean, he had almost 300 yards. He had 210 yards 203 yards at halftime. He had 203 yards in the first quarter and 2 touchdowns. 210 yards at halftime. Finished just short of 270. I mean, he killed us. I don't know why they would put Carlton Davis one-on-one with him and not really give him much safety help. But the Bucks, my Bucks, are on a bye week, a much-needed bye week. We are spiraling. I'd love to hear your guys' take watching from afar, and then I can go. But Joey, what are your thoughts on the Bucks who have now lost 2 in a row, 7-5, pretty much out of the division race with the Saints? Should be a playoff team, but we'll see. How do you think we're gonna finish down the stretch bye week this week?
I think it's the curse of Antonio Brown, my man. You bring in AB, and he's just bad things follow a guy like that, unfortunately. And I know that the start here with him since he's been signed has definitely not been great. So that's easy for me to point to. I was kind of joking, kind of serious on that point. But at the same time, down the stretch, you guys do have a fairly favorable stretch here coming up to where you could easily get to 11-5, if things work out after the bye. It's just really confusing and interesting to me to see the constant battle, it seems, between Bruce Arians and Tom Brady. It feels like, I don't know if it's just built up by the national media or what, but it just feels like this constant tension of Brady wanting to do one thing, Arians wanting to do another, and it just kind of hasn't meshed. So that's what I've been most intrigued by when it comes to the Buccaneers here when I've watched them in their last 3 or 4 games, and what I'll be watching for down the stretch, because you look at that offense with Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, all the running backs they have, obviously Tom Brady leading the helm. I mean, you're like, what's going on here? Why is it taking so long to click? I do have faith that it will. I do have faith that Tommy B will put it together down the stretch, and again, get him into a wild card spot, and who the hell knows what happens from there. But the constant tension and kind of bitching between those two just is really weird to me.
Let me, before you go, Willie, let me clarify something. So a lot is being made of Tom Brady saying he doesn't like playing for these coaches, whatever. Basically what it is a lot of people that are somewhat closely connected saying that there could be tension. Let me read you a quote. So our own Old Balls, Jerry Thornton, blogged this, spinning that Tom Brady does not like playing for his coaches. Let me read you the quote. I feel like I'm the only person that actually read the quote. The quote is from Tom Brady in his post-game press conference. "I love playing with the guys I play with. The coaches, the whole organization has been unbelievable." That's the quote. In the first few words, it's saying, "I love the guys I play with. The coaches, the whole organization has been unbelievable." How is that saying that he doesn't like playing for Bruce Arians? That to me is wild. I don't know how that's possibly being spun to "I don't like my coaches." He's literally saying, "I love the players I play with, the coaches, the whole organization has been unbelievable."
Yeah.
I think
there's no story there.
I think the media is just being messy. And what further inflates that is when you lose back to back.
Yep.
And that's the honest truth. Tom Brady has set a level of excellence, and there's a standard. When he steps on the field, he can defeat and beat all things. It doesn't matter the drama. It doesn't matter who's on the field. It doesn't matter who's out there. Tom Brady, through his career, has stood up to the challenge time after time and won. This year, we've seen a chink in his armor. We've seen him be exposed. At times, he does look old. At times, he looks flustered. There will be a running meme of him holding his four fingers up in Chicago with the most bewildered face after a 2-minute drive goes on south. What's going on right now is simply Tom Brady on a new team with new players, dealing with COVID, dealing with a new coaching staff with two different identities and two different mentalities, trying to figure it out during a season that's probably uncharted than any other season in the history of football. These things take time. Tom Brady has been successful with the New England Patriots because he played damn near the majority of his career with the New England Patriots. He's had acclimation time. He's still getting acclimated. I think we expected Tom Brady to be a plug-and-play quarterback, and all things will be right with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Valid, he has brought them to a different heights. Valid, they have guys like Antonio Brown and Mike Evans and all those guys, and Gronk. But there's still an acclimation period this team is going through, and he's going through with this team. So I'm not worried about Tom Brady. I'm not worried about the Buccaneers. What I am worried about is the language that's coming out from the Tampa Bay locker room. Who is calling the plays for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Because as long as they continue to lose, that's going to be a running question. Is it Tom or is it BA? Now, BA has come out and said, listen, Tom calls the plays. This is Tom's show. We simply just navigate and help him along the way. And then there's other reports that's like, no, that's not true. BA and Byron Leftwich, who's currently the OC, they intervene and they kind of do their own thing at times. And we also got to know this, and Joey can attest to this, and since I've played with under BA is a shot taker. He doesn't believe in the nickel and dime. He doesn't believe in sitting there and going 5 and 5 and 5. If he can get 60, he's going to go 60. If he can get 40 again, he's going to go 40. He's all about the juggler. Tom Brady, that's not Tom Brady's game. Tom Brady's always, listen, if I got a 30-yard ball, I'm going to throw a bubble screen. I'm going to run the ball. I'm going to kill him by 1,000 cuts. BA is all about BA's Rambo, bro. He's going to show up with a fucking machine gun, and he's going to shoot up the whole village despite what you want. That's not Brady. Brady's more methodical. He likes to walk you down because he has a little more venom to his step. BA is all about the big nuke. He's going to blow everything up while he has a shot and let you try to recover. And by the time you try to recover, the game's off. So you're talking about two different guys with two huge resumes trying to blend into one team and trying to do it all in 1 year. It takes time. So you're seeing the Bucs try to mature and try to go through this maturation period. On top of that, realizing the guys who they have on this team, they won't have for a long time. So they're all in right now. There's a lot of pressure in winning that type of football with two different mentalities. And a lot of people are loyal to BA. A lot of people are loyal to Tom Brady. Why? Because he's been able to elevate the Bucs to a new heights as far as recognition, status, respect. The defense now has a quarterback they can play in front of and can back up. So it's a lot, man, and there's a lot that goes into the game. But I think BA and Tom Brady obviously aren't on the same page. And when you lose the way you lost against Kansas City, you expose yourself.
So I want to address a couple things. You made a great point about acclimation period. So I've said this whole season, this team is not built for September, October, even November. This is a team built for December, January, and hopefully February. Now, it's obviously not good to have 2 losses in a row at the end of November, and that doesn't necessarily fit that narrative. But let me adjust that slightly. So the team has been looking pretty good. We'd signed Antonio Brown for a quote-unquote insurance policy. Those are Bruce Arians' words, because Chris Godwin and Mike Evans had been dealing with some nagging injuries. Now, they're all healthy right now, so everyone's trying to get on the field. They did some things that I loved. So I did a breakdown last week how they should move Antonio Brown to the backfield, use him basically as the third down back because our third down backs cannot catch the ball. Leonard Fournette, Ronald Jones, pass catching, not their specialty at all. Tom Brady's missing that James White type guy. Antonio Brown can be that. They did some encouraging things, but they missed a lot of very, I don't want to say easy, very manageable third downs. They were 3 for 9 on money down on Sunday versus the Chiefs. A lot of them were 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3s, very manageable plays. I broke down all the third downs from this past week, and I put it out this week. The plays are there. There are some very minor miscommunications. I thought Tony Romo did an excellent job on the broadcast, highlighting some different things like site adjustments that maybe they're not fully on the same page yet. That's why this bye week is coming at the perfect time. Their schedule down the stretch on paper is easy. They're playing the Falcons twice. They're playing the Vikings, and they're playing at Detroit. The Falcons are 4-2 since Raheem Morris took over. So I don't think that's necessarily a layup, both of them. Minnesota's obviously playing much better. I think they probably will go about 3-1 down the stretch and finish 10-6, which is probably about where everyone figured they would be. Again, acclimation period. They're not going to go 16-0. They're not going to, necessarily go 13-3.
The Pittsburgh Steelers, right? We get it.
But this is a team that hopefully they are going to start to peak around the right time. So they're going to have 4 games to prove that. As far as the Tom Brady versus Bruce Arians philosophy, totally understand where you're coming from. Brady has pushed the ball down the field a lot more than I would have expected this season. I mean, some of his throws, he threw a 50-yard bomb in the air to Chris Godwin before he was even open. Perfect throw on 3rd and 15. That was a first down. I think he is absolutely willing to throw the ball down the field. What I'm a little bit worried about, and probably the only thing that brings me concern, is he is a 43-year-old guy, and our offensive line at times has been leaky despite having some pretty good players on it. So when you do throw the ball down the field, you do subject yourself to shots. Kansas City did a very good job mixing up their blitz package and getting home, especially on 3rd downs, which sped up Tom Brady. Now, it'll be interesting to see what they do in the bye week. You did bring up that point that who is calling the plays. BA said to Mike Silver the day after the game or the night of the game that Tom Brady is the one calling all the plays. Let me kind of revise that statement and tell you what the truth is. So BA has done this since, I think, in Pittsburgh, but in Arizona he did it. Peter King wrote a great article with Carson Palmer about it the night before, and Sean Payton does this with Drew Brees. A lot of coaches do this with their quarterbacks. They're going to give them their best 50 or so plays from that week from practice, and the quarterback is going to pick out the best 15, and the first 15 plays are scripted. The Bucs do that. What it seems like is happening is Tom Brady is just basically, they're giving them the menu. They're giving Tom Brady the menu of what worked best in practice, and he's picking the plays that they run overall. I think Leftwich is the one that's making those calls when, but Tom Brady's just basically giving his input. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I think based on his resume, he should be able to do that. It's his first year in the system. Do the plays that you're most comfortable with. Give honest feedback. No problem with that. I think the Bucs are going to be okay. I'm not super worried, but yes, we're not trending in the right direction going to the bye week. I'm hopeful we're going to get on the right path to end the season.
I think we also got to know to not to cut you off, Joey, and I just want to drop this out there for everybody. I think if there was any frustration from Tom Brady, is that he's coming from New England where Bill Belichick said nothing. Now he's playing with a coach who
said it in private. He would criticize him in private.
Right. Everybody knows and only talking to guys who played for New England Patriots, Bill Belichick was very critical of Tom behind the curtain. Yes. But in front of the media, you got nothing. He never exposed what was underneath the hood. BA is different. If you ask BA a question, he's going to answer the question. He's not necessarily thinking about your feelings. He's more worried about what's the truth is. And if you're going to ask him his opinion, he's going to be forthright with you. I think that bothers Tom Brady because it also exposes what's going on in the lab, right? Like a lot of times players, they don't like, if anything, you don't mind getting cussed out at home and in your own house at the kitchen table. But if you're in the park or if you're in front of your friends or if you're at somewhere eating and you're around public or people who necessarily don't know you on how the family runs or the context of what's going on within the family, and there's a certain outburst out of nowhere, and it leaks to other people for people to kind of have storylines and headlines that necessarily Tom Brady has to deal with or you yourself have to deal with. It's frustrating. So I do think Tom Brady is frustrated. I think he's frustrated with BA. I think he's frustrated with how BA handles his business in regards to the media. Tom never had to deal with that. Tom, even in his own interviews, didn't say a lot. He just said enough to kind of get you off his back. Belichick damn sure didn't say anything. He didn't give a shit if you cared or not, because at the end of the day, he won football games, he won playoff games, and they won championships. That's what Tom's used to. He's not used to answering what's going on with you and BA. He's used to answering questions like, "Hey, on 3rd and 3, Why did you go here with the football? Those are the questions he's used to answering. So I think he is frustrated. I think he's frustrated with BA, but he also signed on for this. So I don't give him the pass in that regard. I just think Tom has to also understand you're no longer in New England. How New England handles football is how they handle football. You're in Tampa. BA's been successful thus far here. This is BA's show. You just have to get acclimated by how BA runs his business.
Yeah. Okay, let's transition to this week's slate of games. We got a couple of big games. Let's start with America's Game of the Week. Let's go Philly Green Bay. So this is a game I'd love to get your guys' take on. The Packers are 9.5-point favorites now, over under 48.5. Sunday 4:25 on Fox. Are the Packers the best team in the NFC? Willie, I'll let you go first.
No, I think right now Aaron Rodgers is playing like the best quarterback in the league. And I think the way I think the way he's been able to stand up, especially going into this season with all the talk about Jordan Love being drafted and his future with the ball club. Right now, he stood up to the challenge, and I think he's done a great job thus far. I think the Packers are one of those teams right now. It's hard to fall in love with them because, you know they're a good team. You know they're going to do the necessary things to win games. But to see them go all the way or kind of put them in a Super Bowl light, it's tough because they're somewhere down the line they're going to disappoint you. I like Aaron Rodgers right now because this is his time. This is the time of year where he really shines. He understands that momentum is everything. And momentum is everything for a lot of good ball clubs. That's why me and Joey are sitting here frustrated about the Pittsburgh Steelers because we want to see this team is valid. They're 10-0. They've been great thus far. But December is where you really knuckle up. December is really when you find out the identity of your ball club. So the Green Bay Packers are sitting and saying, hey, we keep Aaron upright. We get our offensive line, who's doing fairly well. As long as they stay healthy, they're doing a fairly good job. But the defense has really been able to stand up for the most part as of late for the Packers. So that's called momentum. When everything starts kind of coming together, guys are starting to get healthy. You just talk about your Tampa Bay Buccaneers receiving corps are now healthy. This is a good time for your receiving corps to be healthy. It's a good time for your running game to jump alive, right? We talk about Dave Portnoy. We had the old name laces out for this podcast. When it's no longer apple picking season, that's when true football players stand up. Fact. And here we are watching Aaron Rodgers stand the fuck up right now, and the Packers are rolling. So I like the Packers, and I like Aaron Rodgers. It's just a matter of can they keep the momentum and can they stay healthy?
You brought that name up, Dave Portnoy. I want to ask you an honest question. So Sunday, Dave and I had a little bit of a back and forth where he was saying, I don't deserve Tom Brady. And I said, I would argue that I deserve Tom Brady more than anyone.
Facts.
And he said, hey, dummy, look at my avatar, basically pointing to his photo from jail with Tom Brady. Now, Dave on Sunday, and he has said this on the rundown and on his podcast, but he was couch shopping with a woman who was on The Bachelor. Gorgeous woman.
Victoria F.
Sure.
What's couch shopping mean, Stephen J?
Shopping for a couch. Like sitting down on couches and debating if he's going to buy it.
I thought there was more to that. My bad.
No. Literally, they went out to, I guess, lunch and then sitting on couches. He did not watch the Pats game. He was following on his phone and caught the field goal at the end. What are your thoughts on that? Is that acceptable? I mean, KFC and Big Cat were giving a lot of shit on the rundown. Maybe deservedly so, but Dave was like, you know what? I was with, one of the most beautiful girls in the world. She wanted to post about me. Of course, I'm going to sign off on that. It's good for business if other beautiful women see me out with this woman. Is that okay to do on a football Sunday when your team is playing? He's saying that the Pats aren't going anywhere this year, but he's not a front runner. What are your thoughts on that, Willie? You look like you're stewing on it.
Well, we're all men here, and we all have penises.
Facts.
And with that said, I've watched all of 4 football games from the New York Jets, right? But I also have the Pittsburgh Steelers to lean on, right? They're kind of they're my glory.
Sure.
If you got proper trim waiting for you, and you know what it leads to, and you're looking at a team that's horrible right now, I don't blame them. But I would do this, Stephen Che. I would have the red zone on my phone. So when I get tired of those boring conversations or that dry silence, I may peek in from time to time on how my team's doing. It looks like Dave Portnoy gave no shits about the New England Patriots and he went couch shopping. So I don't blame him. I mean, a man is going to be a man.
He was checking in on his phone, but I mean, you got 7 days in a week. You got multiple hours a day. He works really hard. I'm not going to criticize that. I mean, he's been working his tail off with Black Friday, Cyber Monday, all that stuff. But I mean, you only got 16 of these a year guaranteed. You gotta be there, Joey.
I think if you're looking at opportunity and you listen, you only have your window for proper trim is this short. If that window's open, you got to shoot your face. You got to go head first. So I don't blame them.
Dave's a very good looking, successful guy.
I wouldn't say good looking, successful. Yes. Yeah, I wouldn't say good looking.
I'll give the boss man a pass here because and kind of like Willie said, I think even more so now in a COVID world where I don't know where Victoria F resides currently, but if she's not from New York, then if she's passing through, you don't know when she could be passing through again. So you have to take advantage of that. And really, when Victoria F comes calling, yeah, man, you can't really deny them. I mean, you can't say no in that situation. Now, I will say, perhaps maybe Dave could have swayed her to hit
dinner. Do dinner. It's a 1 o'clock game. Do dinner.
You do dinner, sure, or maybe even like a fun brunch spot where they could like have mimosas, but there's flat screens up and you can have.
I like that. So I like that.
You're getting Instagram worthy. You can boomerang the mimosas. She's having fun. You can chat. Oh, by the way, yeah, we're checking on the Pats right there. So I don't blame the man for his decision.
Being a man.
Yes, I don't blame the man for his decision. I just would say perhaps there was a better game plan there that he could have followed. You're shaking your head.
I understand what you guys are saying. There's just so many other hours. Go out to breakfast, go out to dinner. That's fine. You don't want to watch all the games? That's totally fine. When your team is playing a football game, which is guaranteed for about 48 hours per year. Granted, the Patriots have been very successful in the past. They have much more important games. I get that. But Willie, I said this with you when we were doing the podcast with Dave and Tommy Smokes. I told Dave, I feel bad for you because the sweet isn't as sweet without the sour. It's really easy to be the number one fan when your team is riding high and winning Super Bowls. But when they're down in the dumps, when they're playing a 1 o'clock game and beating the Cardinals by 3 points on a last-second field goal, and they're struggling to stay at 500, that's when you got to come out. I know Dave's a real fan, but I can't support this move. I cannot.
You know how ladies work, though, and Willie,
barely.
We're all married. Like in my mind, a lot of times they know the female that you're talking with.
She knew when the Pats game was. It's like, I'm going to hammer down this time.
Well, yeah, it's like it's kind of like a test, It's like, oh, your team's playing here, especially at the beginning. If you're married, it's probably different for us now. My wife knows when Steelers time, it's Steelers time. That's when it's going down. But at the beginning, maybe not so much. Maybe the apple orchard date came up and it was kind of like, man, I really like this girl. I want to try it out. She knows she's testing me out here. If I pass up for her for a game for my team, that could look bad on me. This is Victoria F we're talking about. This is no
Beautiful
joke.
Girl.
This isn't the next door neighbor that just, you're like, oh, she's pretty cute.
Yeah, we're not talking about your dog walker here.
Yeah, this is a little different scenario. So I see what you're saying, Stephen Shea, but at the same time, if she was like, hey, Dave, let's go couch shopping and do this, and Dave was just like, oh, I got to watch the Pats, she'd be like, well, I'm not watching, maybe that's it. Maybe that the opportunity, the window of opportunity is gone.
Well, Stephen Shea, we also got to understand this. I understand your fandom, and you're a loyal Bucs fan. But you're talking about a New England team who is playing the Arizona Cardinals, who the game really doesn't mean nothing for the Pats, right? This isn't a playoff game. This isn't a Super Bowl. This is a regular Sunday game for a team that's struggling. This man has an opportunity with a smoking hot girl. I just being a man's man, I can't say I wouldn't have done the same thing. I definitely would have been in tune. I like Joey's. I definitely would have been at some brunch spot, like Bounce, with the TVs up, enjoying wings, watching the game. That's what I definitely would have done. I wouldn't have been couch shopping because I think that's ridiculous to do on a Sunday anyway. But on top of that, I don't fault him from being with a smoking hot chick on a Sunday when your team is absolutely garbage.
Was Dave shopping for a couch for himself, or was it
for himself? Low key funny part of this is I wonder if he was shopping for a couch because he found out Gaz had his same exact couch, which would be extra funny. He just didn't want to have the same couch as Gaz. But yeah, shopping for a couch for himself. I don't know. It doesn't sit well with me. I know Dave is a huge Pats fan,
He is.
and I'm not questioning that at all. But 48 hours in a year, 48 hours in a year. That's 2 full days at 365. Got to be on the couch.
I think we have to attest.
The only excuses I'm going to accept is like funeral of a close family member, like emergency, like accident, family member like getting seriously hurt or like potentially kid getting hurt, whatever, girl getting hurt. There are very few, but couch shopping is not one of them. I don't care who you're with.
I think the couch shopping has nothing to do with it. I think he wanted quality time with a smoking hot chick.
I guess. Okay, I see your point.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. All right. Now, one other thing actually I want to talk about that does actually concern Dave, or did concern Dave, was Monday night, the aforementioned Eagles and Seahawks game. Now, it was a 14-point game. Joey, I know, Willie, you're not a big gambler. Joey, are you a gambler?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So the 6.5-point spread. So basically, if the Eagles lost by 1 or lost by 6 or less, they would have covered the spread. So everyone who bet on the Seahawks at -6.5 sees Carson Wentz throw this garbage time touchdown. I think there's like 12 seconds left. And then traditional logic is you kick the extra point and, hope to get an onside kick. Doug Peterson does not follow that. And analytics states that you should actually, whenever you're down by 14 and it's late, go for 2. Because you're going to the conversion rate for a 2-point conversion is 49.4% over the last 2 years, basically 50%. If you get the first 2-point conversion, then theoretically, you're going to kick the extra point after you score another touchdown and win the game in regulation. Now, they went for 2. It was successful. Dave was floored. Gamblers across the world, hearts broken. What are you guys' thoughts on if your team, if the Steelers, and they have done this as far as going for 2,
they always go for 2.
Would you like them going for 2 down by 14 late in a game?
I mean, obviously no, Stephen Shea. I mean, why would I?
Not obviously. I would actually like my team going for 2, not down 14. They score a touchdown, so they're down 8 points. Kicking the extra point or going for 2, Willie.
I don't know. Like I get your logic behind it. Listen, I'm not a gambling man because I just don't have the stomach to deal with it. But if you got a chance to go for 2 and potentially, like, I understand Doug Peterson's method. He's like, listen, if I go for 2 here, got a shot, onside kick it. Now I'm only worried about 7, right? Now I can call the game without feeling the pressure. Like I got to catch up right away. So I understand that. So that's why I don't fault Doug Peterson. But if you're a gambling man and you like Dave Portnoy, you're like, what the fuck? You're like, I'm sitting here saving the Reading terminal market, being captain of Philly. I moved my office to Philly. And you fuck me like this? I gotta understand why Dave felt salted.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I luckily, I think my cap had hit for the weekend, so I didn't bet on the Monday night game, which I was lucky there because I was feeling Seahawks. But to your point, Stephen Shea, I guess if the Steelers were in that situation, I would rather them kick the extra point. So let's say they're down 14 or
score a touchdown late,
15 or whatever it is. But let's say it's not 12 seconds. Let's say it's like 50, like something a little bit more realistic.
3 minutes.
Okay, yeah. Are you sure? I'd rather them kick the extra point, not chase the points, and then when it comes down to it, if it's the last play, last chance for them, and they have to do the 2-point conversion, basically, I'd rather get shot in the head than shot in the stomach and bleed out. So if it's going to come down to it, to where it's unlikely they're going to come back anyways. They don't chase the points originally, and then they have the chance for with 20 seconds left, kind of all on the line, balls to the wall. 2-point conversion to tie the game. If they don't get it there, game over, bam, see ya. Okay, cool. But if they don't get it on the first try, then we're chasing even more points, and then I'm bleeding out.
Right.
So that's just how I see it as a weird fan. I know the analytics will disagree with me, but in my mind, I'd rather like be living like, okay, we got a shot, 20 seconds left. Shit, game's over anyways. Rather than, a minute 50 left. They don't get the 2. Now we're down 9. Now we got to do all these different shit. You know what I mean? Like, I'd rather go that way.
Okay. All right. Fair. I do like the analytics method of going for 2 there. I do understand the common fan logic that you'd have to overcome. Tough break. You never want to see gamblers get crushed like that. So thoughts and prayers out to everyone that bet on the Seahawks to cover that 6.5 on Monday night. All right, let's get back to the games this week. Cleveland at Tennessee. Now this is a really interesting game. Both teams are 8-3.
Yep.
Shout out our guy, former guest of the pod, Will Compton, getting officially signed back to the active roster. This is a game of arguably 2 of the best running backs in football. Joey, if you're going to start a team and have one of these guys, who would you rather have in your backfield, Nick Chubb or Derrick Henry?
Yeah, I mean, both are hella good backs. You can't go wrong really. But it's tough for me to deny what Derrick Henry has been able to do since he's coming into the league. I feel like there was definitely some doubts about how he's a one cut guy and he's too big. He can't get up to the speed. Like all that different kind of stuff. But he's just been absolutely dominant and then some, man. I mean, you would talk about Megatron at the wide receiver position. This dude's Megatron at the running back position. And, and he's a dude that, teams always want to find an identity or have an identity. He's an automatic identity giver. If that's a phrase, no matter what team he goes to, automatically, okay, our quarterback is going to get better. Our team is going to get better because we are going to have an identity. We're going to pound you with this monster back here. And we're going to go for that. And that's exactly what Tennessee's done, especially since Vrabel's come about. So I would have to go Derrick Henry here, but Nick Chubb is a hell of a back, no doubt.
Willie, who you got?
To be honest, I think for me it would be Kareem Hunt, man. I think, listen, Derrick Henry is one of those guys with his size.
You mean Nick Chubb?
Nick Chubb. I think Nick Chubb is probably the guy I start with. I think he just has more range. I think Derrick Henry, he's a juggernaut. At 6'2", he's coming downhill. He can break outside, go inside. He has that home run ability to take a yard. He's done that thus far. But I think Nick Chubb right now, I think when he seems, I don't think we've seen the best of him. I think he continues to get better year after year if he stays healthy.
Your back, yeah.
And I think he just has more range. I think he's more guy. He's one of those backs that can do more within your offense than Derrick. I don't see Derrick catching a whole lot of balls out of the backfield. I don't see him a guy you could put in the slot possibly and hit you with a route and catch the ball. I think Nick Chubb has that ability the more he grows into his skin and grows into his football play as a pro football player. So I like Nick Chubb. I wouldn't mind starting my franchise with him.
Interesting stats. So Nick Chubb missed a couple games this year. In games without Nick Chubb, the Browns are 2-2, average 95.5 rushing yards a game, just under 4 yards a carry. With Nick Chubb, the Browns are 6-1, 199 rushing yards a game, 5.5 a carry, and 11 rushing touchdowns. Nick Chubb is the real deal. He gets better by quarter. Yep. It seems like almost every run he rips off is 5 or 6 yards at minimum. He's having a great year. Derrick Henry surely is an incredible runner, power back. You kind of have to tailor the entire offense around him. Again, both guys are not big receiving backs, but I'll take Nick Chubb, much less tread on his tires as a back between those two. Who do you guys like in this game overall? Titans 5.5-point favorites. Over under is 54. It's Sunday at 1:00. Joey, who you got?
Man, I'm praying the Titans can stay hot here and keep it going. The Browns just seem like that annoying gnat around your face that just won't go away. Like I would love for Tennessee to come out at home, continue to run the rock, continue to stay hot with how they've been rolling with the win over Baltimore and then Indy in big fashion, both on the road the last 2 weeks. I really think that this will be a good, hard-fought game. I think it'll come down to the wire. I'm going to go Tennessee here, partially because I'm biased, because I need them to win. I want them to win to give Cleveland hopefully their 4th loss, and hopefully the Steelers will be 11-0 and can separate in the division. So I'm going to go Tennessee here, but I think it'll be a good one.
Willie, who you got?
Yeah, listen, I'm pulling for the Titans only because I don't want to see the Browns or anybody in the AFC North winning any football games. But I want to shout out real quick, Stephen Che, David Quitzenberry. I think that's his name. I'm fucking it up. But he started at left tackle for the Tennessee Titans, man, and he's a non. I'm reading it right here. He overcame Hodgkin's lymphoma in 2014, and actually started this weekend for the Tennessee Titans and balled his dick off. He started at left tackle. Obviously, we know Taylor Lewan is out, co-worker of ours. He's out with ACL. So this guy stepped in for the Tennessee Titans at left tackle. He's a 30-year-old veteran offensive lineman, and he's had a tough road thus far, but he suited up and he balled his tits off. And so I want to show him some love. Anytime you got another offensive lineman doing the damn thing, especially overcoming cancer, I just want to show him his proper respect. But the guy is the definition of toughness and perseverance. We don't shout out a lot of people. He's one of those people I want to shout out. But overall, I want to see the Tennessee Titans win this one. I think it's going to be a tougher game than expected. I think a lot of people don't realize that Cleveland, Myles Garrett, that defense, what they've been able to do thus far, they're starting to kind of feel themselves. They're starting to understand they can win if they play big time defense, and if the defense can be the spearhead for the Cleveland Browns, it's going to be a tough game for the Tennessee Titans. But I want Tennessee to win. I want Derrick Henry to go off. But we also, like I said earlier, I don't know if I said this earlier, but listen, Derrick Henry went off last Sunday. In the end, the Colts didn't have a defensive line. They were banged up front. So he was able to kind of really explode. I don't know if he's going to be that effective against the Browns, but I expect him to have an immediate impact. And hopefully he does, because I want to see Tennessee win and then the Browns lose, so we don't have to worry about who's pulling for the crown of the AFC North.
All right, let's move on to the next game. The Rams at the Cardinals Sunday, 4:05 on Fox. The Rams are 3-point favorites. Over-under is 48.5. Now, both of these teams are coming off pretty tough losses. Obviously, the Cardinals we talked about losing by 3 at New England. Bad loss for them, trying to stay in the NFC West division race. The Rams also with a tough loss, another last-second field goal to the 49ers, who have really owned them 4-0 the past 2 years. Both of these teams looking for fresh starts. Well, we talked about something else that's fresh, and that's HelloFresh. It's a convenient, no-contact delivery to your doorstep for easy home cooking with the family. It's a great value. Save 40% when you use HelloFresh versus shopping at the grocery store. They actually sent all of us some boxes to cook. It was awesome. The food is great. Very, very easy to prepare. Comes in bags. So you don't have to separate the different meals. Super, super easy. HelloFresh cuts stressful meal planning and grocery store trips, so you can enjoy cooking and getting dinner on the table all in about 30 minutes. It also helps you eat very sustainably. HelloFresh streamlined supply chain means produce gets to you faster and fresher than the grocery store. They're also committed to giving back. HelloFresh is committed to donating to those in need. So far in 2020, they've donated 3.5 million meals. That is awesome. Obviously, in this current climate, that is a big deal. So support HelloFresh. They support us at the Going Deep podcast. Go to HelloFresh.com/deep90 again, and use code deep90 to get $90 off, including free shipping. Again, go to HelloFresh.com/deep90 and use code deep90 to get $90 off, including free shipping. This is a great, great deal. Feed your family, feed yourself, get some good meals, very sustainable, and they're giving back. HelloFresh, thank you for the partnership. Great stuff. Check them out. But let's go back into this game with both teams needing a fresh start. Rams, Cardinals. Are the Rams for real? Willie, let's start with you.
No, I mean it's tough to figure out who the Rams are. One day they look like one of the best offenses in the NFL, then another time you can't find them. So I'm not a big believer in the Rams, and I think a large part has to do with Jared Goff. I think he's too inconsistent. I do believe in the Arizona Cardinals. I do believe in Kyler Murray. I believe in that defense, who has played well. Not as they've been up and down themselves, but I think they're just a better. Overall, a better team than the Los Angeles Rams. I like Kyler Murray. I like D-Hop. I like Fitz. I think the offensive line is starting to come together slowly. But I also believe, one thing about the Cardinals, one thing they're doing well, they're figuring they're able to kind of sustain tough ball games, right? I think they should have beat New England. That didn't happen for them, but I think they're motivated. And I just like Arizona in this game. I just believe I think you know what you get with the Arizona Cardinals. I think it's hard to tell what you get with the Los Angeles Rams.
That's a great point. Joey, who you got in this game?
Yeah, I'm in a roll. I think Sean McVay is a better coach than Cliff Kingsbury. The Rams have been there. They've been battle tested. The Cardinals are still kind of up and coming and new to the whole game. And I think that we're kind of looking at two teams that are going obviously the opposite direction. But I think the Cardinals are on their way up. I think the Rams may be on their way down, but I just feel like they haven't crossed that path yet, and I feel like the Rams will get it done. The Cardinals, a lot of things to love, a lot of things to like about them, but again, I think that they just may not be there yet, and I'll take Sean McVay in a bounce back game here.
Yeah, I mean, it seems two teams both very high-powered offenses. I think Willie hit it on the head with, you don't really know what you're going to expect with the Rams. One week they look like, a great team and crushing the Bucs on Monday night. Then they lose to the 49ers. They got trounced by the Dolphins. Like, I'm not really sure what to expect from this Rams team. With the Cardinals, I mean, they had the loss in New England, but you can kind of see that coming with the way Belichick schemes up. Defense take one player away. They did a great job against Kyler Murray. I like Arizona to bounce back at home against the Rams. All right, let's stay out west in the NFC. The Giants traveling to Seattle. So the Seahawks are a 10-point favorite. This is an interesting one. Daniel Jones, at this moment, has an outside chance of playing, but it's most likely going to be Colt McCoy. Colt McCoy, 6 for 10 last week, 3.1 yards per attempt, 31 total yards, no touchdowns, no picks. The Seahawks, we talked about Russell Wilson, 31 touchdowns, 10 picks. I mean, do the Giants have any shot in this game? They do have the lead in the NFC East at the moment due to a tiebreaker with the Washington football team. Willie, who you got?
Well, I have a remedy. It's called Radix Remedies. It's a national CBD provider launched by a group of friends who saw firsthand the benefits of CBD oil. The founders set out to provide pharmaceutical quality hemp-based CBD oil legally purchased in all 50 states. The hemp-based CBD is THC free, so no psychoactive high, pure CBD relief. Radix has a wide variety of infused products, including tinctures, topicals, and more, like their top-selling Sleepy Bears, helping you achieve deep sleep and recharge. Right now, Radix is it's excited for their new highly anticipated Neuro Root Focus Plus, a blend of ingredients that promote brain function, memory development, and a positive mood. In addition to CBD, Neuro Root contains caffeine and vitamin B6 for an extra energy boost. We all can use that. Muca and purines extract, an anti-inflammatory that promotes brain health. I can use some of that. Cetolene, all these big words, which assists with memory and other health promoting elements, that chlorophyll and lion's mane mushroom. Who doesn't like lion's mane mushroom? When taken daily, Neuro Root Focus Plus promotes a brain function and memory development and a positive mood for long-lasting daily energy. Increase your focus, motivation, concentration at work, university, or any other athletic activity. NeuroRoot is the result of thousands of hours of research and development by top scientists and complex systems modeling, neurobiology, organic chemistry, as well as dozens of MDs and PhDs. Coding, design, creativity, night shifts, study sessions, entrepreneurs, stage performance, attention issues, heavy night, sports, big presentation, whatever your reason, NeuroRoot will have you on point. It's the real life limitless pill. Over the next 2 months, we will have our month-long Black Friday sales throughout November, and during December, we're doing 12 days of Christmas giveaways. Every purchase in November enters the customer for a chance to win CBD for a year. So you get a chance to win your CBD NeuroRoot. It's a product of Radix Remedies. Once again, so just head over to radixremedies.com/Barstool and use the code Barstool to unlock some special deals lined up just for all of you. A couple call to actions that I got to call out. It's active now. Receive 10% off the product with code Barstool. Pre-order NeuroRoot right now. All orders will be entered to win. All orders will be entered to win free CBD for a year. Be sure to catch their Black Friday sales, which has passed, but Stephen Che will edit that out. Also, 12 days of Christmas giveaways throughout December. Follow on social media. Once again, radixremedies.com/Barstool. Use code Barstool.
Really, you fool. They're month-long Black Friday sales throughout November and going into December. So still 10% off with code Barstool. I would never make a mistake like that. Always put you in a position to succeed. Radix Remedies, RADIX remedies.com/Barstool. Get 10% off with that code. All orders entered to win free CBD for a year. Who's not getting on board with that? Free CBD for a year? Great. Need help sleeping, focusing? CBD, where it's at. Real life limitless pill. That sounds actually awesome. That movie is pretty sick with Bradley Cooper. Okay, let's jump back into these games. Willie, Giants and Seahawks.
I got the Seahawks. No brainer for me. Seahawks are coming off
Jamal Adams Bowl.
Jamal Adams. He's coming back to MetLife. Hopefully, MetLife. The turf.
Or no, it's in Seattle, but he's playing against his dad's old team.
Oh, I didn't see that angle. Sorry, Stephen Che. Yeah, I got Seahawks. It's no brainer. It doesn't matter what the Giants do. Phil Simms himself can come out and play. The team stinks. So I'm going with Seahawks.
I'm with Willie. Easy, no doubter. Look forward to the 4-8 Giants leading the NFC least after this one.
Yeah, I mean, if Washington can't take care of business, well, actually, no. If the Giants lose and Washington loses to your aforementioned Steelers on Monday night now at 5 p.m., just wild. Let's actually get into that. Washington at Pittsburgh. So as of right now, as of when we are taping, Monday night, 5 p.m., Washington football team at Pittsburgh Steelers, the Ryan Clark Bowl. Joey, who you got in that game?
Yeah, I when the schedule came out in the first 3 or 4 weeks of the season, it was like, oh, Washington football team at home. That'll be a nice chalk up dub down the stretch in December, excuse me. But, now after having 10 days off, after seeing what they did in Dallas, they're starting to have a little bit of that identity, running the ball with Antonio Gibson. Alex Smith is always going to play fairly clean ball. And then that defensive line is no joke. With Chase Young and Montez Sweat and the Jonathan Allen from Alabama.
Yep.
So I think that this will be an annoyingly close game. I think Washington will be hyped up for it for sure, especially because they're in the middle of a division race. But I got faith in our boys. I think that the Steelers will pull it out at the end, but definitely will have some moments of doubt.
Willie, who you got Monday night?
Steelers, Washington.
Yeah, Monday evening, I guess.
I mean, it's Pittsburgh all the way. I think the team, as long as everybody stays healthy, today against Baltimore, I don't see why Pittsburgh doesn't get the job done. So I don't think it's an issue at all. I don't even know why we're asking this question. I think it's a no-brainer, Stephen Che. Steelers all the way.
Ooh, I mean, I don't know. Again, we touched on this briefly in the open when we talked about the COVID situation, but this is going to be, what is it? So they play Wednesday, so Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So they're on 4 days rest. Monday evening game. This is going to be tight. The Reds, I don't know, say the R words. The Washington football team, 10 days in between games, and they're playing well. Antonio Gibson, very exciting rookie. I wouldn't be surprised if Washington pulls this out. I would say this is just going to be a game you guys are going to have to be careful with. But the Steelers, obviously, head up, neutral field. They should dominate, but a lot of other factors are going into this. James Conner also has tested positive for COVID-19, so who knows if he's even going to play this game.
And obviously Alex Smith, we all know about his leg and his situation. So, the Steelers pass rush is always going to be a factor, but how does that play into, they should
get rid of the ball, Alex.
Yeah, they should be able to get after Alex Smith pretty good.
Blitz his dick off.
Yeah. So feel good about it. I think, like you said, the Steelers are just a better team, but Washington is playing well. I think it'll be annoyingly close, but yeah.
All right, let's transition. The second Monday night game, Buffalo at San Francisco, 8:15. This is the normal Monday night time slot on ESPN. Buffalo 4-point favorites. Over under is 48. The Chris Berman Bowl. These are his two favorite teams. Can the 49ers really compete in this game? The Bills, we would think based on record, are a superior team, but the Niners are frisky. Willie, who you got?
I got Buffalo. I believe in Josh Allen. I love their defense. I love the way they're playing and they're finishing out game. They're scrappy as shit. Cole Beasley. You talk about Stephon Diggs. I think Buffalo's a tougher team. I think they have more to fight for right now, and they understand what time of year is for them. They have a chance to win the division and also go into playoffs and be the kind of the Ghostbuster. They can go in there and really shake up some teams. I know if I'm Buffalo, if I'm the Pittsburgh Steelers, I don't want to see the Buffalo Bills in the playoffs. So we'll see, but I got Buffalo all the way.
Yeah, I got the Bills too. Like what you said, can the 49ers compete in this one? I mean, yeah, I think so. I think they showed that last week against Los Angeles, going in there and sneaking out a win, a big win for them. Is Jimmy Garoppolo back? What's his status?
No, he's still going to be out. I mean, Nick Mullins is playing okay ball.
Yeah. I mean,
George Kittle may be back in a couple weeks though.
Yeah, I think Sam Fran will be in it, but again, Buffalo's just a better team. They got to get rolling in December. They got the Steelers coming in the week after, so I'm gonna go Buffalo.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I mean, I like the Bills too. The Niners coming off a big win, but I mean, reality of it, the Bills, they just have a bunch of Jimmys and Joes that are going to get the job done against a San Francisco team that are lacking a lot of those guys. And then we don't really have to touch on it because I'm sure it's going to be in flux, but Dallas at Baltimore Tuesday night, there's no line for that. We'll see if that even gets played. Today's game, we're taping this Wednesday. It's 11:01 in the morning. Still, it appears that it's going to happen. We haven't gotten the test results back, but there is kind of a lot to unpack there. I'll certainly cut this up if there is a situation where that game needs to be canceled or pushed back again. But closing thoughts of the week. I mean, what are you guys looking forward to going into the weekend? Willie, I'll start with you.
Me, Stephen Che, what am I looking forward to? Well, by the grace of God, the Steelers, they beat the Baltimore Ravens, and not one player on the team comes up with COVID. I hope they don't attract it from the goddamn carrier monkeys. That's what I'm praying for. But also, I think it's that time of the year, me and Stephen Che, it's Christmas time. So Christmas time equals buying toys and buying gifts. So I'll be spending this weekend either on Amazon or in the mall trying to buy a gift for people I really don't care that much about, but I have to because I'm related to them.
What a great way to describe family. That's pretty perfect. Need to see that as an Instagram caption.
Yeah.
Don't really like them, but have to see them. We didn't get to talk about it, but I'm interested to watch the Houston-Indianapolis game. I've been wrong in Indianapolis the last couple of weeks. They're going down to Houston with no left tackle. I think DeForest Buckner may be back. But with the way that Houston's playing right now, the way that Deshaun Watson's playing, wouldn't be surprised if Houston pulls that one off because Phillip Rivers is down a couple linemen and he is struggling moving around in the pocket, at least last week against Tennessee was. So interested to see about that one. But the closing thought would be, it's nice that to have the Steelers play on Wednesday or a Monday or a Thursday because then the Sundays are fairly open. You can watch Red Zone, you can go out to eat, shop for a couch with a nice lady, go shopping for Christmas presents. So a Sunday with the Steelers not on is never a great Sunday, but it always opens up some more options. So I'm looking forward to that.
Maybe you can go try out some couches.
Yeah.
This week, for me, looking forward to week 13. So that is a big week, always every year. That's going to be the last week of almost every team's fantasy regular season. So huge week. Wish everyone the best of luck in their fantasy football playoff pushes. This year with COVID and just kind of this week, especially with all these games being pushed around, there's going to be no Thursday night football. We obviously have a game scheduled for a couple hours from now. But there's going to be a lot of football kind of in different windows, which is always interesting. I don't love the Monday night football double headers, but you got to do what you got to do, try and get these games. And I don't think anybody wants a week 18, especially not the Steelers. So hopefully we can get all this done. Best of luck to everyone that's going up, trying to finish their fantasy regular season strong. And the Bucs have a bye, so I'm looking forward to seeing them getting more finely tuned, getting these site adjustments down, getting everybody on the same page, hopefully come out strong when we come back against Minnesota. But we can end this episode with, for the man of a million voices, Joey Molinaro.
Have a good one, guys.
And for Super Bowl champion Willie Colon.
Peace.
This is Stephen Che. See you guys next week.